Welcome everybody. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Ambedkar King's Study Circle to commemorate Baba Saheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's 129th birth anniversary. I would like to start off with a quote from Ambedkar that is on the question of equality. Dr. Ambedkar in his book Annihilation of Caste, he poses the following question. Quote begins, equality may be a fiction, but nonetheless, one must accept it as the governing principle. A man's power is dependent upon one, physical heredity, second, social inheritance or endowment in the form of parental care, education, accumulation of scientific knowledge, everything which enables him to be more efficient than the savage, and finally, that is third one, on his own efforts. In all these three respects, men are undoubtedly unequal. But the question is, shall we treat them as unequal because they are unequal? This is a question which the opponents of equality must answer. We have to deal with a lot of opponents of equality in our day-to-day life. Here, everything should surrender to the caste once known as the future of feudalism now survives in digital economy. Today's topic of the speech is Indian contradiction, socially feudal and economically digital. What needs to be done? Let's hear from Dr. Sujata Surpali, who is the head of the Department of Sociology, University Arts College, Satvahana University, Karimnagar, Telangana. She is a witness to the turbulence happenings in the state of Telangana as being part of the movement for separate state. She continues to associate with the people's movement for Dalit, gender, land, forest, and water resources. She edits DesiDisa.com and writes in print and digital media regularly. Dr. Sujata, we are delighted to have you with us here, so you can start.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to see all the people over there and inviting me to speak my experience, because I don't claim that I know more than you all, but I'm the other side of what you are claiming is socially feudal. I don't know whether we can really separate the social and economic feudalism here, because the caste system we are in, maybe before the capitalism, I wonder really we had a capitalism in India, because when we converted, when we are thinking and talking about the capitalism, and the caste is in the mode of capitalism as well, because any industry, any agriculture, any production, any political power, you see the only caste as a major thing. Very few. Recently, I think you heard Professor Kanchailaya, when there were severe attacks by Banias on him, we did a small study in Hyderabad. Forget about the other dominant castes, very one or two castes here owning every possible industry. So in that case, the capitalism, we expect that it takes away your traditional castes and you come into the modern occupations, and the caste system will diminish or dismiss or disappear. But it is another way around. Casteism is consolidated even in the new modern economic times, and also it is in a brutal form. It is in a very at least in the olden days, you believe in the revolutions. Like, if I come from Telangana, which had a huge struggle against feudalism, and Dora kind of we fought against them. But in this period, the capital mode of economy, it's either it co-opts you or it kills you. You have no other way, an intermediate way that you can really survive with your mode of struggle or protest. So the first clarity is social feudalism. It is the Marxist and the Indian revolutionaries, perhaps across the world, they made caste into the social thing, but not the economic thing, which is unfortunate, because now people are realizing it is not on the top. People said that it is in the periphery, it is not in the bottom. but it is now every left communist revolutionary had accepted that feudal caste is very much in the ground, in the roots. So once, that's what Dr. Ambedkar tried to say. We are the slogan of, we are not just division, it's not division of labor, but it is division of laborers, right? So if we have a clarity on that, caste is not the top layer, but it is in the root. And from the thousands of years, how it is coming, even in the capital mode of the structure, the caste is very much there. And it is not really to divide the economics and the social, and the caste is in the social side, but not in the economic side. No, caste is a social, political, cultural, you name it, everything it is there. Every possible place it is there. So when I say caste, it is again, it's a patriarchal, it is again a feudal, and it is again a very dominant. So being a Dalit woman who is also a contestant in the elections, I can say that whenever we talk and give lectures, they say that why Dalits are like this, why you people are like this, like, I mean, we are the others, right? We are not the general normal people. So no, we are also the common men, we are also into the common structure which is there in the any other structure. So within the Dalits, we do have the same mode of functions and the layers and the hierarchies that we see the other side. So it is like during the Telangana struggle, we used to say that we have to make people understand what is Telangana, and we also need to fight the others. In the Dalit battle, being a woman working on the gender, it is also to, we have to realize our own people, what we are, and also to fight the others, fight others within and outside. Is the onus is on us. If I say so, the feudal structure in a capitalism, you don't find a big landlord coming and sitting and, you know, beating around. No, it is like very subtle way that even our own people, you know, once you get a job or once you have some little comfort, they think that there's no caste, there is no discrimination, there is, everything is fine. So that is how our own people, forgetting Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's all his lifetime struggle, is what he's trying to explain, who is our enemy and what is our religion should be and how we should be educated. All those things have sidelined. Now, now it is like you get education, you, as Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar said, you leave the villages, you settle yourself and you are done. So that is the attitude that unfortunately we are teaching our generation. Being a teacher, I also see that tendencies. Really people are coming back and working on the caste, and the feudalism anyway is there, will be there, but not in the social, but in the every sphere. That is one, for the clarity of the subject here. And the second thing is, as long as your economics, your power, like what we say, SC, ST, BC minorities are around 90%. And the 10% you have here, people owning everything, owning politics, owning industries, owning your digital media, your economic media, or print media, electronic media, or whatever. But thanks to the modern, that's what Babasaheb Ambedkar also utilized for his enlightenment of people, millions of people. So we here, this digital media is also, we are utilizing to mainstream our struggles. Now you hardly see a print media. So, and also you have seen the Corona times, how fake news have, how Corona is communalized in India. So unfortunately, we are raising against it, but we are also facing the threats of, you know, our, when we are supporting our Muslim brothers, or we are raising the Citizenship Act, and followed by the Corona and the communalization. Things were very different. That is one part. And I really don't No, because I'm a person working on the ground on various issues. Because when we don't own a piece of land, when you don't have a school, a free school, at least in your US or elsewhere, you have free schools. And when we don't have any livelihood, and end of the day, we end up working with our own lords, feuds, and how we really think of, even me as a professor or as a teacher, I don't get a house for a rent in my district. And in the Hyderabad or multiple areas, they say that it is only for vegetarians and it is only for, they say several reasons. But in the rural areas, which we claim Telangana is a land of revolutions and a Naxal belt and whatever, but the caste is very much in, and you must have seen the beef festivals in the Osmania University. And education and your own profession will not take you away from the caste oppression. Let us imagine that if it is the position of mine to have a place, a space for a rented, and most of the villas and the new real estate zones are becoming agraharas now. If you have if you have time, please go through the modern agraharas and how they immediately say, once they know that your caste background, they say that it is already sold out. Even if you have millions of rupees, you want to buy a house, but in particular localities and real estate zones, they really don't allow you. So this is the crude reality of Indian caste system. We might have changed our attire, or we have changed the trying to have a physical modern look, but grassroots is really, really bad. If you see the Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and the North Belt, how our women are raped, literally videographed, and that is a new trend now. They're after the Ona, if you all are aware, they're beating, they're killing, they're butchering in the name of Jai Shri Ram, or in the name of cow slaughter, or in the name of, most of the time it is in the name of the boys and girls attraction or a love. It's literally a killing, and you see the dead bodies. And the last 10 years, I can see earlier we used to question the deaths and go to the police station and file a case. But unfortunately, after the Modi regime, we are begging for our dead bodies in the police station. We are begging for the dispersed body pieces from the police station. And we have reduced our bargainism to the, do justice for our own people, don't kill us kind of a thing. So I'm very sorry for these all pessimistic notes, but the other side of it is, I can see you all over there, and this same digital media is like connecting us somewhere. Of course, the issue is very broad, because we don't have one leader and one movement and one ideology kind of a thing. So Dalit movement or any oppressed movements cannot be having a single agenda, but because we need to have education, we need to have empowerment, we need to have survival, we need to have unions, organizations, and everything. So some pockets, I can see the huge international solidarity and the kind of a network. But back to India, even if you want to be in a forefront, nobody will allow, or no need to allow, nobody allowed Baba Sahib Ambedkar, but your own, you will not have a space to live. Either they will give you two chances, either you join us or you be in the jail. Now every possible activist, maybe that is a testimony that if you don't have a cases, you are perhaps not an activist. And mine is only Facebook, 2-3 lines posts, and also of course my grassroots activism is always threatening for many people. That is how we operate. And unfortunately, when our children want to come to take education and they are aware of education is privatized. When they are planning to join the employment is privatized, is resourced. and health is privatized, and everything is outsourced, and everything is like when Baba Sahib Ambedkar gave a call that leave the villages and come to the cities. That time, newly railways are established and people have immediately joined. Newly industries have set up. So one section, whole section, in everywhere have settled in the at least even whatever, whether you are a servant or a maid servant or a helper or a driver or whatever. But now the situation is they can't live in the villages, they can't survive in the cities. I really don't know. This Corona times, we are working almost 24/7 just to feed the people. And if you happen to see the alternative media, how pathetic people are, taking the bananas from the graveyards, and some pictures are very moving pictures. You can see that roti is snatched from a dog, street dog, and they're feeding the babies. And we have seen a woman throwing her 4 kids in the Ganga river, hunger. So I wrote a couple of articles on the Deccan Chronicle about death and disease is part of our life. We're not afraid of corona, but we're afraid of our hunger. So no government had any idea of how many migrant laborers are in the cities. If you see the Mumbai, if you see the Delhi, if you see the Hyderabad, Surat, lakhs and lakhs of people, millions of people, in the construction site, on the roadside buildings, on the helpers, maid servants, and everywhere, because you are the cheap labor, you are the easily available, you can still, the greatest country of Mahan Bharat still have scavengers, manual scavenging. And all the demenial jobs, all the low paid jobs, all the unpaid jobs, we are there to serve. So because when you don't have any space, what you do, at least you have to feed for yourself. That is the reality, because the official statistics of 40% below poverty line. Here, I always used to fight with our communist friends and revolutionaries. Who is unorganized sector? What is unorganized sector in India? And who are the laborers in India? So we don't talk about caste. We don't talk about the caste census. We talk, say, class, and we say that this is a section. But our experiment to join hands with communists have also failed, because the caste question still arises. And it won't stop you once you are aware of the oppression and the inequality, and you take the spirit of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. You naturally, end up in questioning. But of course, the elite class and the caste, elites in India are always dominant caste. So they don't allow you to question whether it is communist or leftist or whatever, revolutionary. But at least if not mainstream political left, but the radical groups have always, whatever understanding you have, they do support, they stand by you, at least not in the, they say if it is a land struggle, Dalit's land is taken by somebody, they say we will come for the land struggle, but we don't question the caste, we don't talk about the caste. Then very surprisingly, the civil liberties and the human, civil liberties and other people, they attend the murders in the police stations and anything police versus people. But if there is any caste issues, and they refer to us, Sujata, see, it is your case that we can't go and fight directly there. And surprisingly, but that is the reality, that we are the social side, we are the non-economic side, and we are the non-revolutionary side. And unfortunately, Baba Sahib Ambedkar is still seen as bourgeois, as the reformist, rather than the revolution. Because if you talk about the caste, it is always a reform, but not the revolution. But in Indian reality, caste is the only revolution, because perhaps I have come to the profession of teaching, and I have changed perhaps my forefathers, the caste structure. but I have not, the caste is very intact. Maybe it is very subtle. So you can change to the levels, but the understanding is not changed. The basic understanding is not changed. And the villages, India lives in villages. 60% is 60% is still in village, and the huge population, they don't have place. IT industry, uh, once it is privatized, nobody wants other caste people. If a Kamma owns an industry, from a security guard to the top level chief, they try to see that they own their own caste people, or the people who are very loyal, or the people who never oppose them. So then we started a slogan, we also want reservation in private sector. But why do people give reservation in private sector? Because then we say that you are taking our land, you are taking our taxes free, and you are under this so class. So we need to have, even today, 25% of seats in the schools supposed to be free, and we don't have schools at 25% free for the Dalits. We don't fight over there because that is a very small, tiny thing. The education is very bleak. The status of government education has we sabotaged successfully, and private schools, they never own you. But people who can manage to give the private education, and our destination always as a destination is the dollar dream, kind of perhaps every parents, they don't want their children to be here and suffer in this system. But if everybody goes there and everybody is out there who are educated, then if nobody turns back and see like Baba Sahib Ambedkar, I really don't know how we really take the issue up. This is the story of what is happening. The new forces, if you see the Jignesh Mevani, if you see the Chandrasekhar Azad, the new youngsters coming into the political stream, and they are trying to, they are trying to question the existing political or a social economical hegemony. What is the Chandrasekhar Azad? It was nothing to do any ideology. He just started schools in the name of Ambedkar, and that itself is very threatening. It is a basic human right, that having an education, and they have clear map. Where do we produce the intelligentsia? They discover it is in the education. So they maximum, they try to see that we don't get education. After the Rohit Vemula's issue, murder, we always call it. So there they discovered that universities are the center of revolution. So they have captured every vice chancellor, every registrar, every head and administration. They have placed their own people. So now I used to enjoy my university teaching and questioning, because entire Telangana movement we did with students. Now from after the CAA, you saw even the minority institutions and the Muslim students, the Jamia thing. JNU is always anyway, it's a place for struggles. Even in Usmania, that we are not able to question, at least now. We are, because one is education, and the second is the universities as centers, that where people are, learning things. There, whoever is active, like Sujata is active, so half a dozen or more than dozen police cases are already there, and somebody is in JNU, few teachers are there, then they are under in some cases you are there. We saw the Anand Teltumde already in the jail now. So the second thing is that. Third, they see the economic, the financial, the sector or the power center. Then you don't have land, you don't have a job, you don't have something to have your own small business. So what do you do end of the day? End of the day, you do auto driving, or you are a very good salesman. Surprisingly, somebody has come from Australia to my university 6 months back. They have a retail university. I never heard any university named with retail university, and they came to university to hire a sales boys and girls. I said, why do university people, and 5 to 10,000 they perhaps made. They say that we did a small study, and even the MA, MCom, MBA students are like equal to our 10th class or intermediate students. So perhaps we may help them by giving jobs. So uh, uh, that is, even if you are a university graduate, then you end up as a salesman or a girl, or with 5,000 rupees, you are a teacher somewhere. And that is how education is today. Our own PG students do not have a computer to sit and do a research. I'm talking about this 2020 university, not any small school or whatever. Anyways, that is digital India, what we call. And we digitize everything where you don't have any digital literacy. Why is a big question. So then your economics have gone. And what is the remain? Religion and culture. If you don't talk about Hindu God, Hindu religion, even if you question why you are doing, you end up in jail. You end up definitely as an anti-social urban Naxalite, or you are a anti-Hindu, and if you criticize Modi, you are a Deshdrohi, and the definitions have changed. So we really don't know what to do, because you can't question, you can't write, and you can't post your comment in the social media. Situation is very this thing. Then our students will start about beef festivals, and eating beef is a big fight now. So yeah, there are restrictions on your dressing, restrictions on your eating practices. So your cultural space is also, reduced to a certain extent. And suddenly they say that if you're not a Hindu, then your rights have been attacked, your education reservation will be taken away, atrocity case will not be filed against you. So people are really scared now to say that I am not a Hindu. So definitely, even if you are accept Christianity, that Sikhism, Buddhism, we do have reservation, but we hardly in this part have not many into the Buddhism, because we have not understood what Baba Saheb Ambedkar is. So that is what I can say, the economic and cultural thing. And politics, yes, the biggest betrayal after the Pune Pact is we have lost our special constituencies reserved for SCs. And the personal experience of mine, reserved constituency, the candidate is decided by the any political party, headed by the upper dominant caste. He will decide the candidate, and that candidate obviously should be loyal to that particular party, otherwise you will not get the seat. That is clear. Some Ambedkarite, some independent, somebody who comes alone. Now we have crossed the America in spending in the elections. So now crores of rupees into the grassroots, that vote is one person, one vote, but the vote is sold, and it is always put into the auction, that whatever highest amount quoted by the political party, they will get it. Earlier it is just buying the vote. Now it is like management of media and the management of votes. This year, last December's assurance for the Dalits in every constituency, that you will have a huge Rama temple, you will have a huge Sai Baba temple. People voted. Nobody is asking for schools, nobody asking for hospitals, nobody asking for the lands. Of course, asking and not asking is also have our own limitations, but our priorities have changed. And I'm asked to speak. Please give us a contract jobs or jobs on outsourcing, and don't remove us. It's okay if you don't increase our pay. It's okay if you don't give us promotions, but let them be as they are. Or at least give us some space to work. So successfully that bargain in the all the labor unions and the movements, we have stopped asking that spirit of working in the organization and in the industries have gone, because whatever you give and you are a giver and I am a taker, and that is the situation. And education is also, they've not only reduced the seats of PhD and the research scholars, and they have not only increased the level so that our own students will not join in the universities. Even a small courses, they have increased the fees, but they have changed the syllabus. One whole, the research centers entire structure is changed. The philosophy of research and the questioning, everything is changed and replaced or asked to do research. How this is a Ram Janma Bhoomi, or how this is, how Hinduism, Hindu land is this is. And the research institutions have completely hired, completely, taken over. And after the citizenship CA and all that, even now police barricades in the university. I was happy when I came to US. At least I don't see the whole big, huge compound walls. And I was in Nebraska for a university, US embassy program. I was really happy that people are at least moving in and out. Now you can't enter into any university without your ID, without, you want to visit somebody. It is like it's like typical embassies that you need to have some cars. If you see the Corona current times, and I wrote that we the 40%, we the people, we are never consulted that we are going to do a huge lockdown, and the current India is unable to feed. Forget about the like US, you are giving some dollars at home and lockdown period. We are unable to feed the people one time chawal or roti or the one time meal, and we are only assured of rice 10 kgs or 12 kgs. So I always, I wrote and I said that we are not afraid of Corona, but the hunger deaths, and it is already reported nearby 100 deaths. And people are just rejecting our so-called ration, which is again feudal. I wrote it saying it is a feudal way of dealing the Corona, because it is affecting the rich sections. So otherwise, death and disease is part of our lives. Where we were born, we are highly in the malnutrition, we are highly in the hazardous work we do in India.